Good one.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for really an event to help us kick off Linda's residency with us here at Macaulay House. Another little round of applause for Linda. And so, Linda, I think we're here today to do a little Q&A about you yourself as an author, the new work that you're coming out with, and your connections to Macaulay House. Was there anything that you wanted to say before we get started?
I would just like to say thank you for this absolutely amazing opportunity. It's quite unbelievable, and I'm indeed grateful to the museums, to you and Cassandra, and to Georgia. So thank you so much.
We're very grateful to you, Linda, for expressing interest in being on site and sharing your memories of this house with us, in addition to the words that you've written already and the ones that are yet to come. So we're looking forward to seeing those come to life. But we'll get started with the very first question. You're writing a memoir, and I was curious, what inspired you at this point in your life to write a memoir? What was it that really was the catalyst for that? Why now?
Well, I'm suspecting that you might be considering my age in that I am just over the three-quarter of a century mark, and so probably the very first reason is timing. The time is of the essence, and if not now, when? And I would like to be able to do the process and the project while I'm still young enough to thoroughly enjoy it and to enjoy its launch out into the world. But secondly to that, I started writing memoir 12 years ago. And I thought that within 2 or 3 years I would have a book out. And it was not long before I realized, there is really a whole lot of learning and growing that has to happen before you're really at that point to do your own book. And so I found I had to study writing. I had to teach writing. I wrote and co-authored a book with other writers, which was a great practice experience. And I promoted other writers, and I just had a dozen years of doing a whole lot of things that made me into the writer that I have become. And so now, at this point, it's really a matter of readiness. I'm finally ready to say, yeah, okay, let's make this happen.
Amazing. I'm going to go off book here for a second, Linda. Only because I'm also intrigued about, when one writes a memoir and you start thinking, well, it should be easy to write about my own life. But, I'm thinking about all of the memories that I have that I think, I don't know how true those memories are. And so to have to do a little bit of research to confirm, are the things that I remember actually what happened, having to compare and contrast with other people that might remember the same thing. So I was just curious if that's also something that you do.
That is part of it. I think, though, people realize and understand and expect that a memoir is from the author's point of view and the author's experience, and so it will be written from their perspective and their take on things.
Right.
But you also do research things and check with other people. And one of the things that I'm particularly lucky about is that my husband is very supportive, and he's an excellent resource. So I asked him, am I remembering this quite right? What do you think? And so...
well, and you've known him for most of your life, right? So that helps to have
That's
someone in
right.
your back pocket
That's
who has.
right. He knows the history. That's
Amazing.
right. Yes.
Well, I did want to ask a little bit more about, you started to talk about the last, say, 12 years that you've been gearing up towards this project, but what does your process look like in terms of, a book coming to fruition? Just let's dive into that word, process, a little bit more.
Process of writing a book as opposed to a story.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, the book, I have over the 12 years, while I was doing all these other little sidebar writing activities, I was writing. And I was developing quite a mass of raw material. And so the process for the book was, first of all, how to attack and bring some sense and some framing to all of this material. And so that is really where I needed help, and that's where my editor, who is also a friend and a writing colleague, she and I got together in January, and we looked at the various stories that I had, and we started to work with a framework and sections for the book and an overall theme, and then pulled the stories that I had written, the ones that would fit in, and also started talking about what needs to still be written in order to fill in the gaps. And so right now, then that's where we're at, and I'm picking and choosing the stories. I've worked through section number 1, there are 4 sections, and then so I look at those stories, but there's still a lot of editing to do, a lot of revision, a lot of culling, and it's an evolving process. So even though we have a plan and a vision in mind, we're always opening to change it if that's what feels right.
Right. And are there some of those stories that you might cull from the initial, where you're like, oh, it's not going to fit, but maybe they can be reworked to fit the format that you're going for?
They could possibly, or the other thing would be, there's always the hope there could be a second one.
That's true. Well, I think this was where we'd love to do a reading. If you have something that you'd like to read for us.
I do.
Amazing.
I do. So this reading is, it's an excerpt. So you are probably going to need a little bit of context and to really appreciate it. So the context is that this is a little section, a little excerpt from the first section of the book, which is about coming of age. And that really actually grounds my book and grounds who I become and what happens after that. And so a big thread in that is a love story. Mm-hmm. And so this is just a wee section, and it takes place in the summer of '64, and the setting is both my home in Wellington and Marty's home here. So, one thing I forgot to mention is that I met the boy I was going to marry at Christmas of grade 9.
Wow.
I was 14 and he was 15. And my parents this development was not on their wish list. And so they decreed that I would not be able to date until I was 16. And this was not uncommon, but we'll see how that goes. Have you ever tried to put popcorn in a baggie? Tricky, isn't it? Such is the summer of '64. A secret phone call here, a clandestine meeting there, smiles and tears, sighs and dreams. Embedded in the teenage experience is practice for the journey of human life. Among the breathlessly fleeting times together, the highlight of that summer takes this storyline. Martin's family always celebrates his July 26th birthday with a corn roast at their big brick farmhouse on the edge of town. This year, he is turning the milestone sweet 60, and his lively sisters are planning to make it a real blast. Dancing, friends, cousins, food, and now get this. Martin has a girlfriend. They did her. Of course, there is keen desire all around for her to be there too. Making this happen is going to be quite a feat. But Lady Luck joins the guest list as well. Now it is a rare turn indeed when my parents go away overnight. And this is one of them. They take their baby son and leave my brother, just older than me, in charge of the rest of us. Big sister, now married with 3 little girls of her own, readily assumes the role of overseer, a job of firstborn privilege. A pact was soon struck with my brother. If he keeps my going to the party under wraps, Martin will deliver his girlfriend back to Picton at midnight. Perfect! A win-win. Sister arrives that Saturday afternoon to spend time with us. A long time. This is becoming problematic. Brother and I are getting increasingly nervous since Big Sister can't help but be picking up the vibe. Lots of tense, shortened phone calls are coming in. Something seems awry here, she appears to surmise. She stays and stays. The phone rings again. I watch the clock. Brother watches the clock. The answer must have to do with the clock. So sister watches the clock. Supper time comes. An unnecessary, tasteless supper. The minutes are ticking by fast. Finally, at 6:45, she gets up and announces she is going home. We'll be fine, just fine. You don't need to worry about us, she is too quickly assured. Looking back over an unconvinced shoulder, her eyes say it all. Yeah, right. Now, to hurry and be perfectly ready on time. Martin's buddy has his dad's wheels, and they will be here at 7:30 on the dot for a night to surely behold. There is a starry intrigue to being with this gentle creature in his home, with family and friends, celebrating his life and who he is becoming. how lucky am I to be a welcome part of it all. End of story.
It's like makes me want to tear up thinking about it. It's such a, I can't wait to read it, Linda, frankly. But
What'd your sister say when she found out? Or has she ever found out? She never found out?
I don't believe she ever, it was never discussed. I don't believe she ever found out.
She's still alive.
Well, yeah, she'll find out.
yeah.
We walk around the grocery store telling someone the story and she'll be like, wait a minute, I don't know that one.
She probably won't remember. She probably won't remember.
Yeah. Now this does lead into my next question, which is how do you feel about taking on this residency in Macaulay House, which is obviously a setting that you are very familiar with from your, early years with Martin?
It is actually a very touching thought, and it is actually, I would say, a dream pairing, but not a dream that I ever had. First of all, I never dreamed I would be a writer. And then to be coming to this setting to write my life stories, it's really quite unbelievable. And I'm expecting that, and I feel already that there is a special energy around this whole experience and this whole collaboration. And I am indeed very, very fond of my husband's family, most especially his dad and mom. And being back in their home, what I can say is very early on, they treated me as if I was the other daughter they'd been waiting for. And throughout my life that they with them, it continued to be that way. And so I feel like this is where I'm meant to be at this time, and where I'm meant to be doing what I'm doing, and I'm coming home.
Well, I know we're really excited to have you, and it's been such a pleasure and an honor to focus more on the Bond story, the story of that family and their legacy here in the home over the last few years. I think there's always been such a focus put onto, of course, the Macaulay story, the origins of the house, but in terms of the family that lived here, really almost longest and certainly raised the biggest family in this home, and had such an intrinsic connection to the property and used it to the utmost is pretty amazing. And we feel very lucky that we have such great connections through Jane and her siblings, and now her sisters and brothers-in-law, to still tell that story so thoroughly. So it was really incredible when you reached out, because this is a great opportunity.
It was.
And as you say, like a great pairing, a great marriage, right? So we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
Now, the next question we've kind of touched on a little bit already, because it's talking about how you select stories for the memoir, what gets in, what gets out. Obviously, there's something to be said for the format and maybe saving things for a next edition. But is there any kind of theme? You said determining themes with your editor. Is there anything that, particular stories are going to fit the mold for this first memoir that may, whereas other stories don't?
Well, probably that then would take us to the sections of the book, and there are 4. and my editor and I have worked them up together. And, but they actually had come to the fore throughout the 12 years. And the first section we've already discussed, which is becoming who you are through your coming of age. And then secondly, the second section are a variety of stories throughout the years that reflect a particular personality trait or characteristic or theme. And the third is highlights 7 sassy women. And they are the stories of, and 4 of them are county women. And these women also fit the mold of the book, but they have helped to shape who I have become. And that's what memoirs almost always are, is a journey of self-discovery. And through writing your story, think about your stories, and reflecting it, and you kind of figure out who you are and how you've gotten to be there. And then the last, and part of the third is my writing story, because that has that is a huge part of where I am now, and have been for a while. And the last section is Life with a View. And it goes through some homes that I lived in, and some travels, and some later life experiences, and the view from the position that I'm in now. So then we just sort of look at which are the stories that fit in with those. And you absolutely cannot, no matter how much you love your stories, you cannot put them all in. And it's the same with even writing a short story. You still have to pare away and get down to what's really the important part.
Because I mean, how can one contain a life in one book, right?
Yeah.
It's simply too much.
It is,
It's too
truly.
much. And when you really start to think, like I think there are always those formative memories that come to the forefront. But when you start to think about those different, the different chapters in a way, the different sections of the book, that I feel like that would be a very helpful exercise to help you yourself hone in. I
absolutely could not start. I didn't know what to do with all this material until we sat down and looked at it and talked about it and just started to see where it fit in and where these sections, what these sections were.
We all crave order, don't we? We love
Yeah.
order. I know I do. Now, how are you hoping that people will respond? You know, maybe your sister would have a different response than some folks. But I mean, how do you think, how do you want people to respond to your memoir? Maybe there's a difference between wanting someone to feel something and what do you think will be the reaction?
These would probably be things that I would hope for, in that I would hope that the readers would feel connected to the stories and connected to the spirit and the passion that is behind the stories. And then also that the readers would move from there to kind of catch the spark and want to tell their stories, and even better, maybe write some of them down and share them so that they don't get lost. Yeah. And because I don't think we have any idea the value that our stories have. And the third thing, I hope they are surprised by what a good writer I am.
I think wouldn't that be so nice to just, to say, this is something, when did you, because again, I'm going off book here. We did have questions prepared, everyone. But, I know that writing came to you, it was a little bit spontaneous, I think,
It
right?
actually did. I did not come to writing. Writing came to me.
Yeah.
And 12 years ago in January, we were in Florida, and before I got out of bed, I reached into a night table beside us and got a paper and a pen out of there. I started writing, and when I came out to the living room, I said to Marty, I think I'm going to write my memoir. And I never had a plan before that. And from there, it will be in the book. It is quite an incredible story. All of the synchronicities and the people that I met at just the right time to make this writing life happen. So it was just meant to be.
And it's going to be such a wonderful, thing to reveal that. Now, obviously, STORIED was an exercise in that as well, but this is a completely personal project and all of your own making. So to bring that forward and share a talent like that with the world, I think is always, it can be a bit nerve-wracking too.
Well, it was surprising, and it just kept growing, and but it's been really fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to read the finished product. But oh my gosh, we only have 2 questions left, Linda.
Okay.
Now, I guess we've kind of covered the sections of the book, but are there any themes or is there any subject matter in the book that you think will particularly surprise people? I know you said you want to surprise people with how good a writer you are, but do you think that there are any themes or things that people will be a bit shocked to read about you?
Yes. Next question.
Okay.
What I will say is, well, if I told you, then you wouldn't be surprised.
There you go.
But what I will say is, as the book is writing itself, there are parts of stories and there are themes that surprise me.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll surprise the readers as well.
We're all layered individuals, aren't we, Linda? We all have our secrets, but they're not even, sometimes they're secrets to even us until you start to unpack things. So,
but the big thing about that is to go deeper and find out what the meaning is and why these things happened and why you became who you are. And it's quite exciting.
this is, again, something, and these are inspiring, these conversations are inspiring other questions, but it's very much like a form of therapy. It seems like writing this book, having to analyze things from your past and sort of consider, why did that play out the way that it did?
I know that that's a common thought and approach to writing memoir, and I'm sure that in lots of cases that is the situation. In my case, I consider it more of a celebration. It's wonderful stories, and I often say, nobody loves my stories more than I do. So there has to be a moral to a story, and when you choose to write a story, then you always think, okay, what is the message behind this? But I wouldn't say, in my case, that it was therapy. I would say it's just a celebration, and it's just a gift that has been inside me for quite a while. And I just want to make sure I give that gift before I can't.
Well, the very last question, I mean, I think one answer to it preemptively might be everyone in this room, but who do you think will connect most deeply with your book? Who is it going to resonate with the most?
I think that it will resonate most with people of my generation. And so I'm thinking of boys and girls and brothers and sisters and co-workers and travelers and parents and friends. And I can't leave out lovers. And I think it will resonate with them because they will find themselves at the heart of my stories.
I love that. Well, we have one more excerpt, I think, to read before we wrap up. So let's take it away.
Great,
Linda.
great. Well, this is one of my favorites, and this has been written for quite a while, and an early pick for the book. And it takes us, we're going to go back to the house in Wellington, only we're going to go back to the 50s. And it's a story from Growing Up Homes, and it's called Rules and Rituals. I can't sleep. They're doing it again. I hear those telltale noises. It happens every night at this time. Get us kids to bed, and sure enough, out it comes. Dad and Mom had rules and rituals. Bedtime was 8 o'clock sharp until high school. No wonder my body learned to require so much sleep time. And no drinking of tea until high school either. These were rites of passages, growing up home. When grade 9 came, we got to go crazy. Stay up as late as they did, drink tea at every meal. I couldn't wait to drink tea legally. I already knew there was nothing in our family that couldn't be improved by a good cup of tea. Whose family life can't handle a little improvement? I lay there. I know it is 8:45. It's always 8:45. The spout of the warm tin tea kettle chinks against the tap. A burst of frosty well water gushes into it. The tap clamps back to off. Plunk goes the full kettle on the biggest element. The stove dial snaps 3 times on its way too high. The painted milky cupboard door swings open. Cups and saucers clink a jingle and then clang a jangle as they slide with purpose into their usual places at the end and the side of the brown arborite tabletop. My bedroom and the kitchen wall are one and the same, and not soundproof either way. I know what comes next. A different milky door opens, and out it comes, the bag of cookies. Yummy cookies, round, sweet cookies. Cookies just right for going with hot, steamy tea and a little girl's hot, steamy taste buds. Dark chocolate-covered marshmallow puffs with a hidden inside layer of red jam on a bed of vanilla wafer. Or round, flat, crispy brown ginger snaps sprinkled with sparkly sugar crystals. Or 2-layered cream-filled buttery golden cookies shaped like perfect little maple leaves. The bag shakes. The cookies slide onto a plate. The plate slides onto the table. A chair slides out and back in. The low murmuring of voices begin. Then a giggle, and another. This would have been my 1950s parents' version of the modern day happy hour. I just wanted to be happy too. I lay there. My eyes blink in the darkness. My lips press together. My knees edge up, wanting to be hugged. I can't sleep. I love cookies. Tasty, sweet cookies. They'll leave tasty, sweet crumbles in the palm of my sweet little hand. I always lick them off. I really want a cookie too. I slide on the bed. I slide past the squeaky door. They hear the telltale noises. I slide across the living room rug and stop just outside the kitchen doorway. The edge of my pajama top is being rolled between short, sweaty fingers. I'm thirsty. I need a drink of water. I hear the most innocent of wee voices announce in an almost whisper. They go quiet. Go ahead and get one then, she says. Without looking at them, I pad across the linoleum floor to the sink right behind my dad's chair. I fill the glass that always sits there, being very careful not to drop it. A loud, messy crash would not help my cause. I take a long, full drink without stopping. It is assurance of how truly thirsty I am. My hand and my eyes rest on the empty glass. I turn around. My eyes fall, oh so briefly, on the plate of cookies, then rise to settle on my mother's cookie-shaped eyes, her cookie-shaped mouth. Would you like a cookie, Linda? She asks. Oh, that would be lovely. And lovely became a staple of my vocabulary ever after. Knowing what to do and say when you want something is best learned early. Using only one hand, I climb back into my big double bed. The other hand cradles my prize. I take the smallest of bites, slowly. I want it to last forever. Meanwhile, a warm, hazy calm is sliding up from under my big blankets. It chuckles as it tickles under my chin, and then slides my eyelids shut. Sleep comes easy as it leaves telltale crumbles in the palm of my hand. Today, in 2026, my husband of 57 years has become quite accustomed to crumbs in the bed sheets.
Well, that is it for today, everyone, but I did have one, I guess, last question, so we're not quite done. When can we expect the memoir, Linda?
Okay, well, pressure.
A hint.
And that's a good question. Joy has suggested Valentine's Day of next year, but I'm not going to rush it because I believe in doing a good job. But probably sometime in 2027, hopefully.
Well, we can't wait. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Jessica.
It was an absolute pleasure.
It has been a pleasure for me too.